All right. Welcome to Check-in Fridays with me, Ericka Thompson. If you are joining us live, welcome. And if you are watching this after, I'm still glad that you are watching it. And I would love for you to engage to have these conversations in your homes, with your families, have them with your friends, have them in your churches, because they are needed in the times that we're living in, right? And these sessions, they're needed, right? So check in with yourselves, check in with your friends, your families, and check in, on your relationships, and most importantly, check in with God. So welcome, thank you for joining. Now the discussions are based on some of the pressing questions that are asked in the chat, as well as things that I would have opinions on, or just stuff for encouragement. So jumping right into it, and we're not staying long. There's no production crew here, there's no anything here, there's no production. Okay, so my children may make noise, and that's okay. Enough production taking place in the world, so there's none here. But I appreciate your patience, right? So one of the pressing thing that we want to talk about is the whole thing of how our teenagers are feeling, our children are feeling being in their homes, and being in their homes, and going to school online, etc., right? So there's one person who has shared that she feels like a prisoner, just being in her home, and the fact that she can't get to use her gadgets and all those things. She feels like she's always being punished, and our children are really going through some serious things, and I don't know how we're going to resolve these things, right? God is the only person who can help us. But our children are struggling. They want to have some conversations too, as it relates to just the vaccine, right? So let me just jump into it. Our children are struggling. Some conversations we think that they are too young to handle, but they have questions, and if you don't answer their questions, they're going to ask people who will influence them, and may or may not influence them for the wrong thing. So please have those kind of conversations in your homes, as the conversations that we're having now, right? So one of the pressing question and comment in the for those who are joining live is, and people ask us this all the time, send me messages, ask all the time, what we think about the vaccine, should we take the vaccine, should we not take the vaccine, etc., right? And I will tell you right off the bat that decision is ultimately up to you and God, right? God has to give you the go ahead. And if you don't have a relationship with God, then you're in trouble, because these are the times when decisions are made so quickly. There are decisions that are made that affect you, affect your family, and so you want to make the best decisions, right? Especially if we feel as though we are being backed in a corner. And so making a decision should not be done without consulting with God. So that's my advice for people. That's my feedback that I give to people. I won't say to you, don't take the vaccine. I won't say to you, take the vaccine. What I will say to you is, what does God say to do? What does He tell you to do? Just as for me, what I wear, how I behave, how I operate, who my friends are, God helps me to make those decisions. I consult with Him, right? He gives me counsel. So if you have a relationship with God, if you don't, you're in trouble, and you need to start a relationship with Jesus Christ of Nazareth, right? Who is God. And if it is that you are struggling to hear from Him, then you need to spend some quiet time with Him to hear what He has to say, because He has something to say. And sometimes we ask God His opinion, we ask Him what to do, we ask Him for wisdom, but we still go do what we want to do, right? Or we just don't listen to His response. He is responding and we're not listening, because we only think that He responds in a particular way, or we expect Him to respond in a particular way. So for the vaccine, if it is that you want to take the vaccine, even if you're doing it out of fear, because hold on, let's back up this conversation, right? Hold on, you're coming?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up this conversation. Let's back up, right? Can we normal? You're not in the frame. Okay. Can we normalize it being okay for people to feel fearful about this whole COVID thing?
I don't understand.
So people being fearful, people expressing their fear, people making decisions out of fear, etc. It's almost as though they have no you can't express how you feel about it, right? You can't say, well, I don't want to take it, or I want to take it. As soon as you say something, so let's say, for example, on social media, as soon as you comment and you say you don't want to, or your family not taking it, you're being bullied, right? You're being bullied online. And I didn't even want to get into the bullying part of it, just the fact that people would want to share their opinion, but they're afraid to share their opinion because people are going to call them down, or to say, oh, why, or as though you're not supposed to feel that way. That's what I'm saying. So can we normalize people feeling confused about the vaccine, feeling confused about what they're supposed to do, and it is okay. That's what I'm saying.
But I think when you read online, the social media sites, there is already a lot of confusion around the vaccine. There are many persons who are reading the stories out of Europe. Many persons who already have their doubts about the virus and about the speed at which the vaccines were created, whether or not clinical trials are properly done, and so on. So there's a lot of confusion already. But I think more and more, in Jamaica, for example, a lot of persons were against the vaccine. But now that the vaccines are here, a lot of persons are coming around to say, I'm going to take the vaccine, or I want to take the vaccine.
Or, I'm thinking about it now.
Right. And as you rightfully say, for a lot of persons, it is out of fear. And I mean, which is kind of understandable given all of what we are hearing and seeing and so on about the virus. But of course,
you see, I don't cut you. That's what I'm saying is, until we get into the part of taking it or not taking it yet, I back up from that. I'm saying people are not even being allowed to share that they're fearful, right? I mean,
fearful about COVID-19?
Yes, and fearful of the whole vaccine, just everything.
I don't know.
Because some of what they share, it is out of fear. That's what I'm saying. Some of what is shared, it is out of fear, but that is not even recognized, because as soon as you say, well, I don't think I want to, people start bullying you. It's true.
Right. I mean, there is a lot of fear. There is a lot of fear. And people think that the persons who don't want to take the vaccine are conspiracy theorists
and anti-vaxxers,
who have no real justification and who are not following the science and all sorts of things. But I mean, for people who are children of God, we are not fearful. We're not afraid of the virus. It exists, so we may get it. And there are persons who would have gotten it. But, we have to trust God. One, that the pestilence will not come nigh our dwelling.
Right.
That's one, we have to trust God about that. While following the protocols that the government has been communicating to us. That's one. But for whatever reason we do not want to take the vaccine, I think there should never be a time where it is made mandatory. Right? And for those of us who are people of faith, children of God, we are very suspicious of anything that they say is mandatory and you don't have a choice. Right?
But even if I was saying this earlier to those who joined live, that even if you don't say that it's mandatory, based on the different requirements now, or the different guidelines that are passed, that if you don't have it, if you don't have the vaccine, or you don't have a COVID negative, I don't want to say the COVID negative, but the vaccine, that you may not be able to do this or purchase this or go in this particular place, etc. Right? So that's still you being forced indirectly.
But that is it being mandatory. Right? So they may not
without them explicitly stating that it's mandatory.
They may not say everybody must have the vaccine.
Right.
But they may say you will need the vaccine to do A, you need the vaccine so you need the vaccine to travel, you need the vaccine to do this, which is fine. right? But when they're going to use something like a vaccine
Right.
to say without it you can't do this, you can't go into a shop, you can't go into a bar, you can't do this or whatever, then we, because of what we have in prophecy, we have to be very wary of it.
Right.
Right? You know, historically, all we know is that you need money to be able to buy something.
Yeah.
Right? And you need your money and your identification documents to go somewhere, for example. So when they say, okay, well, in addition to that, you're going to need something injected into your body,
Yeah.
right? It is very let us say it is too close to what we know in scripture that there will come a time when you have to have a mark on your body in order to engage in commerce. You'll have to have a mark on your body in order to buy and sell and so on.
Right.
So when they come with those kinds of let's call them prescriptions, that this is something that you will need injected inside of you in order to do A, B, or C, or D, we who are children of God have to take a step back and pray about it.
Right. That's what I was saying before you came on.
We have to take a step back and engage in serious prayer about it and allow the Holy Spirit to lead us. And you know, it may involve just stepping back to look and see what is happening while ensuring that we do, you know, all the things that we need to do to ensure that we don't get the virus.
Right.
Right?
So boosting your immune system, eating healthy, being
spending
careful,
time in the sun to get vitamin D.
following the law of the land. I was saying that earlier to them. Those
About the
people
social
like that,
distancing.
right? That you know, if they say social distance, just social distance. You know, you don't have to gather. Because at the end of the day, many of us will be able to fight the virus just naturally, right? And we drink our natural remedies, etc. But there are other persons who are vulnerable. So we are beyond the point of denying now that, you know, there's a virus, right? We are at the point where there is something that is there. However it was made, however it came about, there is something, right? And I mean, we also know, and we have to be honest, we know that if it was created with ill intentions, you know, what the enemy meant for evil, God will turn it around for our good. And we acknowledge that. But you also should be wise, and you also should be good stewards. And being a good steward means also that you're going to follow the law of the land.
Right. So you follow the law of the land to the point where, well, let me say, you will follow the law of the land until the law of the land requires that you go against God's will and purposes. When the law of the land requires that you go against God's will and purposes, that is when we will have to, I don't want to use such strong words, resist. Yes. So we'll have to disobey man in order to obey God.
Say no politely.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So we'll have to stand up, you know, that this is what the law of the land is requiring.
But this is what
the word of God says.
This is what he says.
So it may mean making a sacrifice. Yeah. So that if they say you will have to have the vaccine to travel, it may mean make up your mind that I will not be traveling.
Right.
If they say you're going to need the vaccine in order to go into a bar, you say I'm not going to be going into a bar.
I mean, if you're a child of God, you should not be going in a bar in the first place.
Right.
I just judged you.
Right. If it gets further than that, to things like food and so on, then you know, that's why, you know, we need the Lord to give us the alternatives, the alternatives to the prevailing systems. Yeah. So
and just to point out two things that. One, if you want to learn just more about, you know, the times and just what we're living in and the things that are happening, you can listen to TBC radio. What's the thing again? Is it 88.5?
Or 88.9. That's Jamaica.
Right, in Jamaica. And TBC,
band,
Tarrant Baptist Church, is open 24 hours a day. So if you need, you know, information, if you need guidance, if you need help in any way, and we can help you you can go by there. So that's one. But two, going back to what I was saying before you came on, that these conversations need to be taking place in everybody's home, even with the children, because some of the teenagers joined earlier, and some of them had those concerns that they're saying, who do we ask about these things? Because everybody making decisions, everybody having about, nobody is saying anything to us. So we're looking on social media, we talk amongst our friends, but you know, no adult really comes to talk to us in our homes to say, How do you feel? What do you think about it, right? And these are conversations that we need to have with our families, because there's going to come a time where there are going to be some sacrifices, some hard decisions that need to be made, and you want the children to be ready. So I was saying to them that one of the things that we did, some of us experienced to fail them, was last year when we were sent home, that we never had conversations with them as the time went along to say, you know what, maybe you just end up never going back to school face to face, or it will be a very long time before you go back face to face. And so now they're struggling. So like some of them who commented that they are feeling like prisoners, they are lonely, they're uncomfortable, they want to get out of the house, and they are stressed, etc. They probably would have dealt with it better. That was what I wanted to say.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. As it relates to, so that's my response for vaccine. Oh, yeah, you can go.
Okay.
You can go.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, you're going. As in you're going. I thought you wanted to go as in to say something else.
No.
Oh yeah. So that's it. As it's in terms of the response to the whole vaccine thing, of them asking, should we take the vaccine? Should we not take the vaccine? What do we think about the vaccine? And I'm saying that the ultimate decision is God's decision for your life. When you ask him, when you talk with him, what does he say to you? Does he say to you, take it, don't take it, wait on my words, wait on my commands, wait on my instructions? What does he say to you? Because at the end of the day, that is really what matters. So that was it. But thank you very much. All right, so this has been another episode of Check-In Fridays. And I really encourage you to check in with yourself, check in with your thoughts and your feelings, check in with your friends and your family members, check in on your relationships, right? And you're going to also check in with the best and the most important person, check in with, which is God. If you don't have a relationship with him, start one today. See you next week for another Check-In Fridays. Bye.